Alright, hey, what's going on there, guys? Earthmaster here, February 19th, 2018, just about 9:02 p.m. here on the West Coast, and looking at some earthquake data around the globe. Also, some live data coming in from certain seismic activity stations there, including, it looks like Chile's popping up, also Mammoth Lakes in Southern California. Also, we have a station there in Yellowstone we're watching as well. You can see a little spike of an earthquake on that station as well. Also, let me show you guys a little map here real quick with the activity going on here around Iceland area. There is a kind of like an uptick in activity, although some of the professionals up there are claiming that we could be seeing a larger earthquake following all this activity up just northeast or north of the Iceland region. And I mentioned that last night, that whenever we see a swarming of this type of activity, we definitely want to watch here within the next 24 hours for possibly a bigger earthquake. But seismic activity has calmed down a tad bit within that region. I think the biggest one was at 5.2 there. You can see that where it's marked. But since then, you look going into Tuesday, which is now Tuesday in certain time zones, it's diminishing a little bit. We're not seeing as much activity, although there is still quite a bit. Here's the hours and whatnot since the last time earthquake hit. 0 to 4 being red, a lot of 4 to 12. That's where we're starting to see that cluster last night, and so on. But this here is a little nice site to check out. This is the whole country earthquakes during the last 48 hours preliminary results. I know the USGS does not like to issue, I don't know why, all the activity that's going on up there. So that's why I have the EMSC data included in here. But you can see there has been some 4s just north of the Iceland area, kind of up towards Greenland, and just north of that island, pretty much a continent as well. But we haven't seen that swarming that we were seeing last night within that region, and that's a good thing. But like I say, we do have a couple 4s north of the region that we're watching, and we'll of course continue to watch this area for any kind of new development or stronger activity. And looks like Chile down there is having a little bit of activity as well, like always. We can't really sit out here and say that we're going to see a larger earthquake wherever these swarms are taking place. But we can issue a watch for the certain areas. Whenever we see this cluster of quakes, we tend to open our eyes a little bit and pay attention. But there's no guarantee we're going to see a larger quake. And as time passes, and as the swarm that's occurring up there diminishes a little bit over time, then that's a good thing. Less likely that we will see any type of further activity as far as like a larger earthquake, that is. Yellowstone, I'm going to go over this one more time. Still active, still ongoing. No changes in the swarm itself. It's still some, just mostly minor earthquakes, but still in a cluster. This activity over here, folks, on the northeast side of the park is purely interference. I do not want people thinking that this is any kind of harmonic tremor or any kind of magma intrusion into the area or any kind of underground activity that's being picked up. This is strictly and purely interference from something. And it looks like it may be some type of radio interference or something within the lines. Within the internet that they're receiving this off of. You can see these waves here, dark color waves, blue, light blue, and they're all equal in pattern. If this was some type of earthquake activity or magma activity underneath the ground, we would see sporadic levels of frequency being picked up on these stations. But this is it's continuous and a harmonic type frequency response there. it's interference. I can't stress it enough, folks. I just don't want people thinking that this is anything other than that. Also, on this other station here, you see these equal, very equal looking signatures. It's some type of interference that's being picked up on the seismograph stations, or the data in the lines there. If this was indeed magma or some type of activity going on underneath the park here, we would see it strongly and sporadically going up and down and whatnot. It wouldn't be the same in all these other seismograph stations that are really close by, but not a hint, not even a hint of it on these stations that are close by. So end of story when it comes to looking at these signatures. There's nothing but interference on that, and that's all I'm going to say on that matter. California did have an earthquake today up near Mount Lassen, which is in northern California. It's an active volcano. It has erupted within the last 100 years. And that 3.6 downgraded to a 3.4 was right at the volcano itself. I'm talking right at the volcano. Since then, no earthquakes, but we are keeping an eye on this because I live pretty close by, and I want to know if we're going to have any kind of activity going on there at the volcano Lassen Peak there. So hopefully she just behaves. I believe this is all once again related to the Cascadia subduction zone of all players. I'll show you why here in just a second. Let's go to the Pacific Northwest seismic network, showing the interactive tremor map. Tremor map is showing activity at the Northern California section underneath where the Cascadia subduction zone goes underneath the North American plate right here. That subducting area. That's what these little marks right here, these red marks are picking up, is tremor movement, not fractures of earthquakes, but rather two plates when they connect like that, or not connect, but when they slide past each other or underneath each other, such as the subducting part here, the Cascadia subduction zone, it picks up these tremors and registers them on this network here, the Pacific PNSN.org site. And so there is a little bit of activity in Northern California, and ultimately I believe that 3.4 that happened near Mount Lassen was ultimately associated with this activity. Mount Lassen sits roughly underneath this cluster of quakes here, folks. So there's Lassen Peak, right? And that cluster of seismic, not seismic, but tremor activity that's being picked up was right at the 3.2, 3.4 earthquake that took place near Lassen Peak. So purely tectonic in nature, just due to the movement underneath the ground there where the subduction is going on. So just happened to be within that area right there, right about Mount Lassen area, where we've seen obviously the tremor right here, and then we've seen a 3.4 in California near Mount Lassen. So no worries on that. Rest assured that's purely tectonic stress and whatnot going on. Well, they registered this at 2.7 miles now. It was originally at I think about 5 or 6 miles. So anyway, you know, I'm not worried about this. It's definitely Cascadia subduction zone has a big card to play when it comes to earthquakes, not only deep beneath the surface, but also far as surface quakes go. I'm getting tongue-tied. You hear that? Or man, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, but once again, everything hasn't changed up in Yellowstone National Park. It's still ongoing, and we will continue to watch that and monitor that, as the swarm could continue for weeks at a time, or it could just die down tomorrow. We will keep an eye on that and update you guys on if anything changes in there. But I'm going to cut this short, guys, for tonight. I do have a lot of stuff I got to do. It's been a busy day, let me tell you. and it's just going to be a busy night as well, and a busy week, unfortunately. So no rest for the wicked, I guess, even though I'm not wicked, but no rest for me. So hopefully everyone stays safe out there, and please don't believe any fear-mongering that's being spread out there on the social media world, guys. As enticing as that sounds, there is nothing that points towards a uplift or intrusion of magma into the magma chamber at Yellowstone National Park. It's purely tectonic stress at work here, and that's why we see these earthquake swarms here periodically in Yellowstone and other parts of the world. So rest assured, guys, as much as the fear-mongering entices people, please don't believe it. Use common sense, okay? Use common sense. And think about it this way. If Yellowstone was about ready to erupt or have some type of volcanic explosion, we would know about it. It'd be the geysers, for one, is a big signature. We start seeing some weird activity with the geysers, maybe increased activity, non-stop geyser activity, or something going on with the geysers. That would be like a first signature to look for when it comes to magma movement underneath the ground. We'd also notice like the gas, CO2 emissions or the sulfur emissions, whatnot, would be skyrocketing from that area up there. But it's not. It's all pretty much neutral background average readings right now. GPS, I read a couple sites tonight. The GPS, there's always been uplift, and there's a cycle that Yellowstone goes through. It tends to raise a little bit, and then it tends to lower a little bit. And ultimately that's normal. It's not abnormal to see the uplift and the subsidence at Yellowstone National Park. So this time around, guys, with the earthquake swarm, just use common sense and try to avoid those fearful porn posts about impending doom at Yellowstone National Park. It's a bunch of ad clicking, or it frustrates me, people, to hear about people on YouTube doing stuff like that. It's just not nice, and I don't like it one bit. So I try to preach the facts out here, and if the facts are boring and it doesn't bring me in a lot of views, then so be it. But I preach the facts and the truth only, so I'm not going to apologize for doing that. That's something I will always do, and I'm not going to fearmonger one bit. So the only thing I'm going to fearmonger about is probably not getting any sleep again. I cannot sleep at night. It sucks. But anyway, stay safe out there, folks. Have an earthquake plan. It's the world out there. There's plates that move. There's things that happen. But we would know about anything that we're about to hit. If there was something big, trust me, we would know. Have a good night, everyone.